The Raiders are going to be very aggressive this offseason, and I'm going to be real, I can't wait. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and if you're ready for the craziest, wildest offseason of all time, make sure you click that subscribe button. Make sure those notifications are turned on because NFL free agency starts March 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. It's on a Tuesday. So if you want to pull up with Chugs and I, we're going to be live literally like for 30 to 40 hours during that week. Anytime the Raiders sign a player, anytime the Raiders trade for somebody, anytime something big happens this offseason, I will be live and I want you all to rock with me. And I'm telling you, this is going to be the craziest offseason of all time. And here's why. First one is this. Mark Davis and Tom Brady, they want to win right now. The fact that Mark wants to win, the fact that Brady wants to win, and yeah, there's a lot of other people that are talking in those guys' ears. But if those two guys have something in mind, that's what the Raiders are going to do. And the fact that Davis and TB12 were willing to move on from Antonio Pearson Telesco after one season, despite them not getting their original top choice, who was Mike Vrabel, tells me everything that I need to know. This team wanted to go in a brand new direction. Max Crosby, he said on his podcast, nobody wants to win more than Mark Davis, which means that Mark has made it clear to Max that this is going to be a team where we're trying to go out there and we're going to try to win some football games. On top of that, Brady is one of those dudes that probably always thinks about his reputation. I always think about my reputation. Producer Justin today probably also thinks about his rep. At the end of the day, what more do you have to stand on besides your name? And Brady probably hears all the rumors about Mahomes is the GOAT. Mahomes is better than Brady. You know, it's a good way to say that I am the true GOAT is to be able to win with the Raiders in a front office position. So you know what, man? I'm all about all gas, no breaks this offseason for the silver and black. And I want you to scale how aggressive you think that the Raiders are going to be this offseason from a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being, Mitch, they're not going to do anything. They're going to sit on their hands and they're just going to lean back and let it happen. 10 being, this is going to be the most aggressive offseason of all time. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. Scroll on down. Give me your answer. I'm going to give this one a 10, a big old 10. When you look at everything that the Raiders have done this offseason and everything I'm about to talk about in this video, this is going to be an extremely, extremely aggressive offseason. And if you can't tell, I can't flip and wait, man. Let's go to the next reason of why I know this is going to be an aggressive offseason for the Raiders. Pete Carroll said it. This is not a rebuild. When you have a team that goes 4-13, fires a first-year head coach, fires a GM, and has fired the amount of coaches that the Raiders have, most people sit back and they go, all right, it's time for a rebuild. When you bring in a head coach that has the pedigree, the resume of somebody like Pete Carroll, you go, all right, I can understand them doing a rebuild. Here's the thing, though. Carroll told you it's not going to be a rebuild. This is going to be a team that goes out and tries to win right away. You also don't hire a 74-year-old. He's 73 now. He will be 74 when the season starts. You're not hiring a 74-year-old for a rebuild. And the reason why you brought in Pete Carroll is because you knew that he was going to be able to get the ball rolling very quickly. Whether you were talking about, and I'm not kidding you when I tell you this, in terms of the coaches that sit down at a table with Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, when he walks into that table, he's not intimidated. He's not intimidated by those guys. Ben Johnson might have been. Maybe Mike Vrabel would have even been. I don't know what exactly would have looked like, but you do not go out and do the hiring of Carroll. And quite frankly, I don't really think Carroll would have taken the job and risked his coaching legacy if he didn't think that this was going to be a team that they could go out and try to win right away. When you've won a Super Bowl, when you are no doubt a Hall of Fame coach, like let's be honest, Pete Carroll's no doubt a Hall of Fame coach. Do you want the last memory that people have of you coaching being an absolute dumpster fire? Of course not. This is a team based on their action from front office to coaching is in win-now mode. I got 3 more reasons coming up here in just a moment, but if you plan on watching the big game, then I hope that you get started with our sponsor, Prize Picks. Chugs and I are going to be live. We're going to be rooting for the Eagles, FKCs down below all week, and if you're interested to turn some real money and put it in your pocket, then I need you to listen up. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all, where you just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, and when I say all season long, I mean we got 1 game left, y'all, and it's the big game, and it's the best place to win cash while watching the big game. PrizePicks is also giving away a free pick for the game, and if you don't know what the pick is, it is up on screen. Mahomes is going to throw for more than 0.5 passing yards. So if you're going to watch Mahomes, you might as well put some of that money in your pocket. Mitch, how do I put money in my pocket? I'm glad you asked. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need a win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Also, I'm going to do a special PrizePicks episode, which is going to be dropping on Sunday right before the big game, and it's going to be telling all of y'all how you can turn $50. No, that's a lie. How you can turn $20 into $500, which, I don't know about you, sounds pretty good to me. Let's go to the next reason here of why I think the Raiders are going to be aggressive this offseason. Spending big on coaches. Hiring a coach and wanting to bring in a big-name guy, we know how it can impact the team. But when you bring in big-name coordinators, this is something that people got to look at. And the Raiders, they hired Chip Kelly. They brought back Patrick Graham. But look at the actions. Chip Kelly was making $2 million at Ohio State. The Raiders gave him $6 million. He is the highest paid OC in the National Football League. You're not bringing in somebody and spending all that money unless you really want to try to go out and win right away. Patrick Graham last season was making about $3 million. According to Albert Breer, he's now making $4 million per year. So you gave your defensive coordinator a raise. You gave an OC all the money in the world. Hell, Chip Kelly makes more money than some head coaches out there. Think about that for a second. So when you're spending over $10 million on your coordinators, and then on top of that, you go out and you get Pete Carroll, who's not going to be cheap. Let's just be honest. He's not going to be cheap. I don't know what the contract is off the top of my head, but it's a 3-year deal that can turn into a 4th. And then you also bring in John Spytek, and I get it. John Spytek is a first-year general manager, but he was also my number 1 candidate that I wanted the Raiders to go out and get. And I guarantee you this, he wasn't all that cheap of a candidate. But then also look at what the Raiders are doing. They're being smart. You go out and you hire a guy like Jed Hughes, which I don't know how much money, even if it's $1,000, $10,000. I don't know how much it costs to hire Jed Hughes, but they're spending extra money to create a plan, and they're going out there and they are executing that plan. When you bring in the amount of big-name guys that this team's bringing in, I'm telling you, wild off season. Let's go to the other reason here, and we got 2 more. The Silver and Black have 28 total free agents. And these aren't just players that are bottom of the roster, nobody knows about them. Losing 28 players in free agency when you're bringing in a brand new regime, this is a good and it can be a bad thing. It can be a good thing because, well, if you're already making a lot of changes from the coaching staff, now you can make a lot of changes from a player standpoint, and you can bring in your guys that fit this system of what you want. And they're looking for players that love football. But you have 17 unrestricted free agents, which are typically the players that when you hear the term free agent, you think of, right? The Robert Splains, the Trevon Merriggs, the Adam Butlers, the Malcolm Kuntzes. Those are unrestricted free agents. But then you have 5 restricted free agents and 6 exclusive rights free agents, which is a Jordan Meredith and an Isaiah Paul-Lamal, for example. Those are players that the Raiders are going to try to bring back. Out of those 17 unrestricted free agents, though, I mean, we're talking about bunch of dudes that played important roles for the Raiders on offense, defense, and on special teams. So when you know you're spending big on the coaches and you're about to lose all those players, well, you got to be able to restock the shelves in some sort. And the Raiders are ready with all the money that they have in order to do it, which brings me to my last point. You know, you can talk, and, you know, they always say talk is cheap. But having money to spend is important. And before I get into the whole money aspect side of it, I know we were just throwing out a lot of names there with the free agents, and 28 free agents. It's a lot of names. If you want to check out a video that I made, it's probably like 10 days ago at this point. I'm going to put it down in the comments, and I'm also going to put it in the description of today's show. Here's the thumbnail on that bad boy. But I essentially go through and I talk about all the unrestricted, all the exclusive rights, and all the restricted rights free agents. I tell you what exactly each one means, because I know that maybe not everybody knows what it means. But then I also lay out the top 5 free agents that I want the Raiders to bring back. I did make this video before the Raiders, I guess, brought back Patrick Graham and Rob Leonard. However, I'm so happy they did, because this then just sticks with the top 5 players that I would want the Raiders to bring back. It's still the top 5 players on that video. So please go check it out if you want to see more about the free agency moves that the Raiders could potentially make this offseason. Let's go to the final reason. And if you haven't gotten theme, it's about money. Forever, I've heard Mark Davis is poor, Mark Davis is cash poor. When the Raiders were in Oakland, they were valued as, I believe, the 25th richest franchise. Mark Davis was like the 25th richest owner, I want to say, in the NFL. Now he's in the top 5. Now the Raiders are worth $1 billion, like $6 billion or something crazy like that. They're worth a lot of money. And Mark's already shown you he's not afraid to spend it on a coach's standpoint, on a front office standpoint. So if he's not afraid to spend money on front office and coaches, do you think he's going to be afraid to spend money in free agency? No. And they're going to be able to rework some money. They have one of the best contract makers in the league. His name's Tom Delaney, and he's going to be able to figure out ways to make money move around, and the Raiders are going to spend big. Like, you got $92.3 million in salary cap. That's the second most in the NFL. It's 95 on Spytek. It's 92 on Over the Cap. And the Raiders are going to have to bring in a lot of these players. When you bring in a new regime, sometimes you got to pay a little bit more. The fact that there's also no salary tax. Like, there's going to be dudes looking at this situation right now going, that's a place that I want to play. On top of that, you're going to have to give Max Crosby an extension. You might have to give Colton Miller an extension. You might have to give Jacoby Myers an extension. The Raiders are throwing money around this offseason, and there's one reason and one reason only. They want to just win, baby. Nobody wants to win more than Mark. Nobody has done more winning in the NFL than Tom Brady. And then when you put together the staff that they've put together, and Pete Carroll, John Spytek, Chip Kelly, and Patrick Graham, this is a team that is geared to win right now. So one more time here is proof that the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be aggressive this offseason. Mark Davis, Tom Brady, they want to win right now. Pete Carroll said, this is not a rebuild. They go out and they get John Spytek, Pete Carroll. It sounds like everybody is on the exact same path. They're spending big on coaches. $6 million for Chip Kelly, highest paid OC in the NFL. They give Patrick Graham a $1 million raise, $4 million now for a DC. 28 total free agents means a lot of turnover. And with $92.3 million in salary cap space, the second most in the NFL, this team's already spending big on the front office and on coaches. Wait till you see what they do in the offseason.